My family always said I was too sensitive. Always. Every comment, every reaction, every sigh, they would chalk it up to me being fragile, delicate, the type to feel too much. And yet, I never truly understood how fragile I was until the sheriff showed up on their porch. He didn't knock. He didn't announce himself. Just the soft shuffle of papers, the kind of papers that carry more weight than words ever could, and suddenly, the world my family had built around me began to crack. My parents stared, and in their eyes, I saw disbelief, shock, and, somewhere buried, fear. Fear that the little control they had over me was finally slipping away. A week earlier, at Denver International Airport, I learned exactly where I stood in their minds. 1 canceled ticket. 2 text messages. A moment of clarity. 1 glance at those texts and suddenly, the entire landscape of my childhood, my upbringing, my family, it all shifted. Everything I thought I knew about love, loyalty, and family was now under question. Before I go any further, take a moment. Where are you listening from? Have your family ever pushed you so far you had to step back just to breathe? Share it if you can. Trust me, you are not alone. If someone had met me a few years ago, they might have assumed I grew up in a warm, noisy household. The kind of family that crowds diner booths on Sunday mornings, laughing over pancakes and syrup. People often told me I had a gentle face, a soft smile, the kind of face born from love. And I let them believe it. It was easier than explaining the truth, that my family had loved control far more than they ever loved me. Growing up, my older sister Leah was treated like she was some rare treasure. New clothes, a room that looked like it belonged in a magazine, framed photos lining every hallway. And me? Lectures about gratitude, hand-me-downs, and a spot on the floor during holidays when the chairs were for guests. My father wasn't cruel, not directly. He just stood close enough to watch the fire, sometimes shrugging, sometimes smirking, pretending he didn't hear the words that cut the deepest. By the time I left for college, I'd been kicked out of that house twice. Once for talking back, once because Leah didn't want to share the bathroom. Winters in Denver aren't forgiving when you're 17, standing outside with a trash bag full of your life. But surviving that taught me something crucial. If I wanted safety, I'd have to build it myself. So I did. Slowly, quietly. Internships nobody else wanted. Long nights in libraries smelling of old carpet and burnt popcorn. Studying financial planning while the city slept. And eventually, I carved out a life for myself. A small condo overlooking a lake, my own space. Not glamorous. Not perfect. But mine. My son, 6 years old, soft-spoken, and wide-eyed, finally had a room where no one told him to stay out of the way. He was my compass, the only person in my life who never made me feel small. My parents? They still saw me as a backup. Leah remained the shining star, the daughter who never made mistakes, whose life seemed curated for perfection. So when I saved enough for a small trip, a little break that I earned with every late night and early morning, I didn't tell anyone. Not my mother. Not my father. Not Leah. I just wanted a few quiet days to exist on my own terms, but secrets in my family rarely last. And as soon as my mother discovered I was leaving town, everything began to unravel. The morning of my trip was eerily calm. The kind of calm that makes you suspect the universe is about to make a loud announcement. I kissed my son goodbye, promising a small souvenir from the airport gift shop. And for the first time in weeks, I allowed myself to breathe. Denver International Airport was bustling as always, rolling suitcases, steaming coffee, half-asleep travelers bumping into each other. I blended in easily. Jeans, coat, hair tied back. Nothing about me screamed drama. Nothing hinted at the storm that was about to break inside my family. Check-in. ID, confirmation code. The agent's eyes flicked to the screen. Her fingers tapped rapidly. A pause. A subtle frown. Let me check something, she said. Something tightened in my chest. Your ticket shows as cancelled. The refund was issued an hour ago. The world tilted. My stomach plummeted. That card ending in. I knew. My mother. The words on my phone came instantly. Have fun walking home, loser. No jokes. No half-hearted emojis. Just cruelty, sharp and precise. Another message, take a bus like you should. And in that moment, everything clicked. It wasn't just about the ticket. It was about their enjoyment of my smallness, their delight in control. I stepped outside into the cold air, shaking as I opened a rideshare app. A small sedan stopped beside me. You okay? The driver asked. You look like someone just dropped a piano on your day. I exhaled. A laugh? Maybe, just relief that someone saw the chaos in my eyes. I told him the story, the canceled ticket, the texts, the years of swallowed pain. He listened, silently, letting me unravel. Back in my condo, I pulled open a folder I had kept hidden for years: options, investments, payments, trust deeds. The house my parents thought they owned, mine. The truth of my diligence, my preparation, my quiet triumph over their disregard. The anger didn't boil anymore. It sharpened. Focused. I drafted eviction notices for every adult in that house, airtight, unassailable. I would no longer be their passive child, their backup, their invisible labor. I was their landlord. 3 days later, I stood on their walkway, envelope in hand. The house smelled familiar yet strange. My mother on the couch, my father in the kitchen, Leah at the island. No greeting. No warmth. Just disbelief. I placed the notices. 1, 2, 3. Calmly. Confidently. Their protests were immediate. You don't own this house. You can't evict us. But I had proof. The trust deed. Signed lease. Payment history. I played the recordings of their own voices, reliving their cruelty. Their laughter, casual, dismissive, cruel. My mother's face went pale. Leah stiffened. My father's jaw tightened. Yes, I recorded it, I said. Yes, you abused your position. Yes, there are consequences. 3 days passed. No drama. No shouting. Just the quiet assertion of justice. When the sheriff arrived, they packed, leaving behind the illusion of control they had cherished for decades. And as I drove home, my son waiting, arms wide, I realized I had reclaimed more than property. I had reclaimed peace. From that airport, from those texts, from their smallness and cruelty. I had built a life where I, and my son, were finally safe. Finally seen. Finally free.